The following broadcast is a Nighthawk Network presentation. What's going on, y'all? It's your boy E-Buck, Big Buck Sports Report. In effect, I'm here to talk to y'all about sports, but then again, I kind of ain't. Let me tell it to you like this. A lot of stuff going on in sports. You got the men's basketball in college. You got the women's basketball in college. You got the NBA. You got the WNBA free agency. You got some baseball about to start up. We just finished up with the Australian Open. It's a lot, but I don't have the energy, man. I just don't. I'm gonna be honest with you. I ain't got the energy to do it tonight. However, we do have some show for you because my good buddy Hugh Lee and I did do the Guru's football session this week, and we're gonna give y'all that. Maybe later on in the week we'll talk about these sports. If not, then y'all just got to catch me. We're gonna take a little break after this week to kind of recharge and refresh, deal with some other stuff because there's some deeper stuff going on, to be quite honest. And then the following week, the Super Bowl and whatnot, we're going to come back with y'all and discuss and have them discussions then. That's how we're going to play that, okay? But in the meanwhile, we do got some show for you, so let me go on and set it up. And we're going to give y'all the Guru's football session. As far as the rest of the sports go, hopefully y'all checking them out and you're liking what you're seeing and you're keeping up. If not, you can always go to my good buddy Hugh's sports page. That's the Sports Guru to You page to check out what he got going, and we could do it that way. That would be awesome if y'all would do that so y'all can keep up with things. Let's see. I'm sure y'all guys see me on the screen, but what I'm doing now is trying to find where we put the show for y'all this week. Matter of fact, here's what we're going to do, good people. Hold on. Technical difficulties going on. All right, hold on. We got Commente. Good evening, Easy E and Big Q. What's going on? Thank y'all for checking in. Appreciate it. Appreciate you much. Let's go to a couple commercials here while we work this technical difficulties out. When we come back, we shall hopefully have the Guru's football section for y'all here on the Big Buck Sports Report. Commercials, please, B. Let's go. Here with it.
We're not asking for your permission. We're not seeking your approval. We're claiming what's ours in the name of our ancestors. We are their answered prayers. This is more than a movement. This is a revolution. Black innocence. What are yours today?
What's going on, good people? Y'all know what time it is. It's time for the show. Within the show, it won't be called the Guru's football session. As always, I tell you, you can't do the Guru's football session without the Guru himself, Hugh Lee, in the building on that side. What's going on, Hugh? Hugh, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. What's going on with you, brother?
Nothing much, man. They kind of did that whole thing when it like spent and it was like rebooting.
Oh boy. All right. Well, hopefully the technical problems won't get to the best of us today, and we will go on and get through it. Okay. As you guys know, it was championship weekend in the NFL, so that gave us two big games. We're gonna talk about both of them. Talk about some of the coaching carousel, and then of course we will give you an early preview of our Super Bowl. Because next week, just like the NFL is chilling, we're going to chill too. So, all right, let's get into it, Hugh. Where we going?
I want to go with the first game that was played on the night, the Ravens versus the Kansas City Chiefs. The Ravens was at home. It was really crazy. I'm thinking, okay, this is the first time that I remember that Lamar Jackson not only had a first round, where he had a bye, but then on top of that, after being the number one seed, to basically be able to take advantage of that and have a game at home after winning the divisional round. I definitely felt like if it was any year to win, it'll be this year for the Baltimore Ravens, and feel kind of bad for them. I definitely was pulling for them, but I should have went with my gut on this one, and I've talked to you about it a little earlier. It's just like betting against Tom Brady. You might win some, but most times you was on the losing end of that, and that's what basically he proved to me. I kind of figured they'll beat the Bills because the Bills had problems within that organization. But at this point, I feel like if there was any chance for, Lamar Jackson to win, it had to be this year because to be able to get past Patrick Mahomes was a task in itself. But when you look at it, the defense stepped up too. The defense looked better than Baltimore's defense, who looked great on any given Sunday. So that really surprised me. But the part that really surprised me was not only did Kansas City, which is probably his best defense he's ever had, but everybody started to stand up now. When I was saying where the real Marquez Valdez Scanlon at, would you please stand up? He stood up. Rashid Rice has been standing up. Isaiah Pacheco's always been there. And you could definitely tell you're seeing a healthy Travis Kelce in the playoffs. He dominated last week. He dominated this week. It was some weird situations in the game. And I know I questioned that. I said, but it's just smart play, too, on Kansas City defense. You can't take that away. It could have easily been a game where the game would have been tied going into overtime, but it was a smart move on Snead part to be able to when Zay Flowers was trying to dive in the end zone to hit the ball and fumble the ball and recovered it. And I believe when Lamar Jackson tried to go for it all on one play and got picked, I said, uh-oh, time is running out on them. And I didn't think after that, I believe it was like 3 minutes and 23 seconds left. I didn't think it was no more time left to be trying to play against Patrick Mahomes because they went down the field the first time with Travis Kelce. Then they turned around, Isaiah Pacheco got a score, and they got a field goal. Kansas City's been holding most teams to under 20 points in the playoffs, man. So that's another scary thing right now, man. And if you didn't hear it before, didn't believe that I felt that way, now I'm a believer, man. And we're going to get into our predictions. But I definitely still look at it and say that's a dangerous team, man. They don't have to score that many points to still keep you under your point ratio and to win. I just feel bad for Lamar, man. I know you're a huge fan of Lamar, and I'm a huge fan of Lamar. But I feel bad that I even bet against Patrick Mahomes. That made me look bad. But the predictions of the game, I thought that the game was going to be probably like 3 points, or maybe I said a little more, maybe a touchdown. But I thought that it was possible going with the Ravens' way. But to make it 17-10 and Kansas City going to their second back-to-back Super Bowl, yeah, man, that speaks volumes of how good that team is. And what this team reminds me of is the 2018 Patriots team when the offense wasn't really clicking and they didn't look that good. And the defense shut out the Rams, who, as funny as it sounds, was led by Jared Goff in that Super Bowl. And that's who they started to remind me of. The defense from Spagnuolo, and it's not even really the huge plays from right now, Andy Reid. I still feel like they got some stuff up their sleeve for the Super Bowl. I always have some tricks up their sleeve, man. They always pull out the tricks when it matters the most. But, yeah, that was a really good game. I feel bad, like I said, for Lamar, but he should just keep his head up. But I don't know how far you can keep your head up in this situation because it's just like running into Michael Jordan all over again, like you said, with the Charles Barkleys and, with your Patrick Ewings and, guys who should have had an opportunity to win championships. But when you got to run into Patrick Mahomes, man, and that's the key to you to make that second leap, I don't know if that's going to happen no time soon, man. So what else could they do, E? I mean, damn, they got two prolific receivers and Zay Flowers. They end up getting OBJ. They have Mark Andrews. They always had a good run game. I don't feel like they utilized Dalvin Cook as much. And they always had a strong defense. The offense really started to mesh with the defense now, and they were a balanced team, even on special teams. And you still couldn't beat a Kansas City team that people looked at and didn't respect as much this year because they wasn't as explosive as they were on offense in the past. That's scary right now going into the Super Bowl.
All right, let me give you the breakdown. Basically, like I said, when we saw that first quarter, it was 7-7 at the end of the first quarter, I do believe. I thought we was in for one of the greatest games ever in terms of championship playoffs because both Lamar and Patrick both looked great on those big drives that they had in the first quarter. They both did the things that we expect them to do as quarterbacks. Mahomes was doing all types of things, throwing the ball kind of sideways, behind the back and whatnot. You had Lamar using his legs to get open and make runs, escape unescapable pockets and all that good stuff. I thought from what we saw in that first quarter, we was going to be in for one of the best games ever. After that, we got this defensive struggle that I really didn't understand. You know, Patrick was, he still was moving the ball down the field. It's just when they got closer to the red zone, it got shut down. I mean, the thing was, I don't even think we given the whole Travis Kelce thing enough play in that. Travis was incredible that game. Absolutely incredible. Everything he threw at Travis, he caught it. I mean, Travis made some unbelievable catches. That damn touchdown in of itself was one hell of a throw and one hell of a catch, to be honest. Of course, there's the other factor that we'll get into in regards to the whole Kansas City thing, but I definitely got to give it up for Kansas City. We are definitely looking at one of the best quarterbacks of all time, and Patrick Mahomes. He proved it yet again. I think when you look at the talking heads and what everybody was saying, they wasn't expecting Mahomes and company to get to this point. Remember, their whole thing was, okay, the reason why Patrick keep doing what he do is because they always seem to have that home field advantage. This year, they don't have it. So I don't think they're going to make things happen. And lo and behold, home field advantage didn't seem to matter. They still found a way to pull it out and make it to where you see we the Chiefs. Believe in us. We the real deal. Remember, this is a team that now has gone to 4 of the last 5 Super Bowls, I believe. And that's something to be said for that. It's players and teams that have never won. And, of course, we'll talk about that in the second game. So it's something that you definitely shouldn't take for granted. And that's something that Mahomes definitely said in his post-press conference. It's something that they do not take for granted in Kansas City. Because remember, for many years, much like our team, Kansas City was the not thought of. We just in the league. We do what we do. So for them to have this type of scenario to where now they are looked at as one of the great teams, period, ever, in terms of what they've accomplished, particularly this season when, like I said, it was all against them. We seen how they looked early on in the season where they had all those games and all the passes dropped and the questionable people on the team. And, Patrick said for some of them, I'm just going to keep throwing them to him. I mean, Scanlon, that was one of them. He kept dropping them early on, but when he counted in that game, he went to him and he made the catch that he needed to make to end that book. On the other hand, let's talk about Baltimore for a second. Like you, I feel bad. I feel real bad for our boy because I really was hoping that this was the year that he was going to take that next step up and show people, I bet on myself and I was right to do so. Because now look at me. Look at what I'm doing. It was an incredible job by the offensive coordinator this year to make him the great dual threat quarterback that he truly was meant to be. Remember, before it was a lot of him using his legs to make things happen. This year he used his legs and his arm. However, that being said, I think he needed to go back to being his old self in that second half. I think he would have done that and used his legs more often to be more of a running threat to where they would have come out of that defense and then been forced to monitor him more. That would have opened up the passing game. And I think they could have won that game if they had done it that way. But they didn't make that adjustment. And Lamar didn't make that adjustment, and now again he's sitting there answering questions about what could have been. It's unfortunate, but like I said, I myself went with Kansas City, not just because it's my family's team, and congratulations to all my Kansas City Chief fans in the building, in the network, but just because Patrick is that guy. Like the kids say, he's him. He is him. And as long as you got that dude on your squad, you got a legitimate chance to win pretty much any game in the National Football League right now. And I think that's why they pulled it off. In the end, even Baltimore felt like we just can't beat him. That's him.
This was that year too, man. It was sad because you look at it the next day, you see Monty Humphrey say, man, it started to hit me now after everything was said and done. Man, this was supposed to be our year, but then you just ran into Patrick Mahomes, unfortunately, and that's what it is. When you run into a guy like him, man, and things like that happen, I mean, you got to definitely respect. And I can't even say as far as I can't put 100% on Patrick Mahomes on this one, because I feel like we always give him the credit, and we should, because he's the best player right now in the game. But it wouldn't work out if it wasn't for that defense right now. I feel like the defense gets just as much credit because we give credit more or less to offenses more than anything. And we know how some defenses can let you down. But in this case, the defense has been balanced. And even when they played their poorest ball, the defense has been there, man. So I believe just in the last year, the last draft with what's my man's name? Galactus.
Yeah.
And what's my other man's name? McDuffie. And it was a couple of guys that they got, because I've been telling you how I like McDuffie from Washington. Their cornerback, and then they end up getting them on Kansas City. They end up getting George Galactus as far as, the pass rusher. And it was just like, man, some of those guys, man, you didn't expect for them to land in Kansas City lap. And they were almost there last year, man. And it made them hunger for it because it made them appreciate what they had. And now they even worked on it even more, because I feel like everyone thought, oh, man, they're going to take it, last season. And they did. But now you had a team that didn't even have as much experience on defense. And now you got them in 2 years of Spagnola's defense. It's going to get scary, man, because now that you see how they're playing, Snead is like possibly the top cornerback right now. I don't care what anybody say, love it or hate it, he is the top cornerback. And when you put it together, I just feel like it's going to be hard to beat that team, man, no matter who they play. And for a team to give up a lot of points too, it's going to be pretty dangerous going into this Super Bowl.
I understand one of the other key factors with Kansas City that's not getting talked about enough is that running back. That dude Pacheco, man, I love seeing him play. He is worth the price of admission in and of himself. He runs like, damn it, if I don't score this time, I'm going to score next time. I'm not even trying to get 2 yards. I'm not trying to get 5 yards. I'm trying to score on y'all every time. He run the ball like he mad at the ground. Somebody said that at one point. I thought that was an excellent way to describe his running style. He is very, very tough. Not only between the tackles, but outside the tackles. He is definitely a reason why we find ourselves at this point in the Super Bowl. He, like I said, especially with all the drops and all that, it was times like that where they went to him, and he basically made up for a lot of what went wrong that particular day.
Hell, I feel like he saved them when the Bills was getting some type of daylight, and they started to breathe, and they started like it looked like they had a fighter's chance. And Patrick Mahomes threw that deep ball, man, and he caught it, and he was right there in the red zone. I said, damn, man. I said, I don't think it's nothing else Josh Allen can do with this done. And the exact same thing happened this game. When they needed him the most, man, it just seemed like he might not score that touchdown, but he'd get you close, man. And when Pacheco scored, that touchdown, I said, damn, man. And it was funny because every time you looked at it like it was going to be a Ravens run or Ravens getting in for a score. And when they just couldn't convert with Zay Flowers dove and he fumbled it out, Kansas City recovered. I said, man, they just run out of too many chances. Like you felt like in that fourth quarter, the game was still close and there was still a chance. But the more they start messing up, the more or less I thought the Kansas City was going to go in advance. And that's exactly what happened. So, yeah, that defense, man, that's what I'm saying now, man. What are they going to do, man? Definitely if they could pull off another Super Bowl, what are you going to do with Chris Jones, man? You know, you got to find some type of money or something to keep that brother, man, because he was disruptive that game too, and he caused a lot of the issues. You know, where they got some good sacks on Lamar Jackson, and they're gonna definitely need him to stay on that front, man, if they want to continue to compete.
Yeah, like I said, it was a good game. I think the keys, like I said, was what they were. But the other thing is, I think Baltimore just went away from what got them there in the first place. They're a running team. They stopped running.
Yeah, they was throwing a lot too. They got real trigger happy on the throws.
They stopped
Like,
running. I
man,
think if they would have ran the ball more, they could have won the game.
Justin Hill actually was running the game. He was running the ball pretty good, you know. And it's like, why would you have Dalvin Cook if you wasn't really executing them either, man? You know, you have two worthy running backs, and then, like you said, if he couldn't find nothing when he was trying to throw the ball, he had legs too. You seen on that 4th-and-1 play when he got 20 yards on the run play. Yeah, man, they got forgot what got them there. And that's one of the reasons why, unfortunately, he back to the drawing board. And they got to figure out what they're going to do with Baltimore next season. But we want to get into this game right here, and I want to stop beating around the bush. I want to talk about the Lions and 49ers game. I think a lot of people criticized at one point when we gave our predictions, and it's funny because the score was almost close to what we even said. But a lot of people were dissing me and, you know, had a few words for me, but I had to stay true to self because I've said that before they even kicked off this season, that I thought San Francisco was going to be in the Super Bowl. If I would have even imagined that they had to play the Lions to get there, maybe I would have changed things up a little bit, but I stuck true to my game and what I said. It was a really good played game. I was surprised. I was more devastated that that lead was that 17-point lead just disappeared. I seen it and I said, "Oh man, something ain't right." And then you start to see some of the play and some of the gambles. Like for instance, when it was 10 to 24, it was a chance to kick a field goal, and there was opportunities to kick field goals. And I think people bashed Dan Campbell because he went for it on some of those plays. Sometimes those gambles pay off, sometimes they don't. But then you have to respect the fact that he's going to do what he felt like he thought what was best for us to win. And when you're winning, everybody's on the bandwagon. And when you lose, everybody's quick to shoot you down and dish you and you don't have words to say. I felt like for the effort they gave, I felt like we overachieved, man. And to play 49ers, I thought that, man, you know, if we don't play well on defense, which in the second half, I feel like the back end kind of disappointed us too. But I had to give credit where credit was due. To San Francisco stayed poised and did what they had to do to pull off the game. I felt like we still had opportunity and we gave a lot of assists on some of the decisions we made. And when I look at it, I'm not as disappointed as I was a few days ago because now I look at it and I feel like San Francisco didn't really beat us. We beat us. And that being said, 34 to 31, you know, that really made me disappointed due to the fact that I feel like we missed out on two field goals that we should have went by, and that probably would have been a game. We were so close again, but to get to the Super Bowl. And I feel like people looked at it, and I even seen some weird comments that people said like the same on Lions. And I said, well, damn, you know, to say that, man, you really wasn't a fan if you actually had that to say. this year. We thought that they fixed the issues or thought that they were going to try to fix the issues with the cornerbacks because they knew we were vulnerable with that. But CD Deuce, CJ Gardner Johnson, whatever the hell you want to call yourself nowadays, I don't think he'd be a good fit to come back. I feel like we could do better with someone in free agency. And I definitely feel like we'll do our just in the draft too. But yeah, man, I'm still happy for what they accomplished this year because, like I said, man, I definitely feel like they overachieved. You even said yourself you thought that they were going to make it to the playoffs, maybe win a game, and that'll be our season. But man, we won 2 games and was able to get that close to making it to the Super Bowl, man. And yeah, it was a really good year. I was one thing that I was disappointed about, and I understand it's the reality. But when Dan Campbell said that might have been our last shot, I know that a lot of that came from emotions, but I felt like, yeah, if you felt like it was that way, that's why you went out there and you play like it was your last shot. A lot of people still made fun, the Warren Saps, and I was surprised that other people said, man, make the points, man, or just take the points while they there. But that ain't his style, man. He real and he true to the game, even with his flaws, man. He's gonna go for it when he feel like the team have a chance. So what I liked about it was after the game, Jared Goff said it sucked that he wasn't too happy about the result. But at the end of the day, he was proud because of the fact that the coach believed in them enough to where they can go for it and make those plays. And I even heard people clowning and saying, man, that we didn't know at the time that Josh Reynolds ended up being Kadarius Toney when we needed him the most. That man had put all his blood, sweat, and tears out there. Not only did he play with passion, but he was one of those guys that was in that deal that got Jared Goff over to the Detroit Lions and shipped off Matthew Stafford. So he was one of them outcast pieces, as they said, man, bye, released him. So he had a lot, to play for. But man, you can't say that you wasn't proud of them boys right now, man. Yeah, we lost, and I felt like some things probably could have changed the momentum of the game. But this was a hell of a year, man. Will we see another opportunity like this? Possibly not. But I still feel like if we keep the pieces together, we keep Dan Campbell. We already found out some huge news to Ben Johnson to be back 2024-25 season. We just got to build on that, man. And we have one of the best guys when it comes to doing that, and that's Brad Holmes, man. He's already ready for the draft and getting those things put together, man. Like people laughed at the draft picks with Jahmyr Gibbs, and they laughed at Sam Laporta, and they laughed at some of the picks that we had. You wasn't laughing now when you seen how they played, so. Trust the process, man. And I still feel like even if we didn't go back next year or two, I still feel like we're built to be able to try to make another run. I'm just hoping that it don't be as long as 1991 when we last went to the conference finals, man. Hell, man, that lets me know how long ago it was, man. I was in the 7th grade. I've been out of school almost 30 years now. So yeah, man, I'm definitely hoping that they can definitely do something and make another run. But hey, if this all they had, man, hey, I'm gonna take it, man, because they gave so much hope to the city for winning a game in that playoff game. They won too, something that Matthew Stafford didn't do in his whole, Lions tenure, man. So for all the peoples who out there and who hating and who had negative things to say, man, I don't really trust them anyway because I feel like they were bandwagon fairweather friends in the first place. And I want to know your thoughts, E.
Well, again, first and foremost, got to give it up to my Detroit Lions. One of the best seasons we ever had here in terms of our organization. It pretty much went the way I felt it did from the beginning. I mean, again, I always reference y'all to go back to past episodes of the football session or the Big Buck Sports Report when we talked about these things. Been pretty much on the money with the whole thing. I predicted 12-5. They went 12-5. I predicted they would go to the playoffs, win a playoff game. They did that. I predicted that we would get as far as our defense would allow us to get. And that's pretty much what happened in a nutshell. Think about it. We was up 17 at one point in that game, and it was looking pretty good. But because, much like my other Lions fans, we've been snake bit for so long when it comes to the Lions, we wanted to truly believe, but it was hard to just let that go. Even in the back of my mind, and clearly it was in the back of other people as they was hitting me up. Yeah, we winning, but dot dot dot. And then of course, as it started to unravel, pretty much one by one, people was like, "Yep, nope, it ain't happening. Yep, we lost." And I wanted to believe, like I said, not only did I drink the Kool-Aid this year, but I drank it and I ingested it and I engulfed it and I drank it fully. I feel like several of the Lions fans, y'all was drinking the Kool-Aid, but behind my back, y'all was spitting it out. Y'all wasn't really ready to truly believe. That's why whenever we lost during the season, here we go, same old Lions. That's why on Sunday when it was all over, see, they ain't ready. They suck. That's why I'm a 49ers fan. That's why I'm this, that's why I'm that. So that's something that the Lions have to work on even more so now. I think they have won over the majority of the city. Most of us do believe in what you are able to accomplish now. We know that we just a few good pieces away from making things happen. As I said, even before the playoffs started, we already know what this Lions team is going to need moving forward. They definitely need to work on the defense, in particular, get another pass rusher to help out Hutchinson, definitely getting some quicker people at the linebacker spot, and absolutely retooling that secondary once again. If they can manage to do that in the offseason and keep most of the offense intact, and it's definitely helpful that Ben Johnson is going to be here to call the plays, even more so, that we definitely should have an opportunity to be close to this point again next year. Is it going to be harder? Absolutely. The 49ers basically showed us what it's like to be a veteran team that has players in place that are set up to not only make a long run in the playoffs, but to do it for years at a time. They have set up the blueprint for us. Now we need to follow that blueprint and go even better. For those of you that say, okay, well, Jared didn't win it, so Jared shouldn't be here. I say to you guys, you're stupid. You're stupid and you don't know football. Jared has proven beyond a shadow of a doubt in my mind that he is worthy of being the Lions quarterback moving forward. And I think one of the first things they should be doing in this offseason is setting him up for an extension. Now, how much of an extension? That's where I kind of differ, okay? So I'm going to talk ahead and say, go ahead and line him up with the usual 5-6 year deal. I don't know if I'm fully committed to that at this point. 3 years, definitely could see that. Pay him about 50 mil, I'm good with that. The going rate now is at least 40, so I feel 50 is fair. But beyond that, I would work out some type of incentive and, league deals and all that type of stuff after the 3 years. Somewhere down the line, we definitely want to see what we got from Hendon Hooker. I definitely like to see the Lions draft a quarterback in the late rounds next year if somebody halfway decent is available to kind of try out, see what he's doing. We already know Bridgewater is moving on to other things in his life, and congratulations to him for that. But in terms of the game itself, we had him on the hook. We let him off. The main reason why we lost that game wasn't the offense. It wasn't Jared Goff. Hell, it wasn't even the fourth down plays. Let me point out again, people, the Detroit Lions, as an organization under Dan Campbell, has gone for fourth down more than any other team in the league, and it's not even close. Let me also point out that we have the highest percentage of fourth down completions in the league during that same time, and that's not even close. It's very good for y'all to say, all right, Dan, you're doing your thing when we win because he did what he did. But when we lose, that's the first thing y'all always seem to want to go with. It is not right, okay? Without some of them fourth quarter calls and fourth down calls, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't even be having this discussion. We would have been out of the playoffs a couple weeks ago.
Motion detected at the Blink X2 camera.
So keeping all that in mind, good people, we need to remember what got us here. We need to know that This is just the beginning. This is not the same old Lions. This is not that team that we watched for decades at a time, and it seemed like on any given Sunday they had no hopes of ever winning another game ever. This is not that Lions team. We are on the come up. We need to look at it like that, okay? As far as the 49ers go, they came together at the right time. They went in the half, down that many points. They made the adjustments. The adjustments worked. And as a result, they won the game. Can't be mad at that. That's what championship teams do. They find ways to win when it seems like there is no way to win. They did what they had to do. Again, another thing, the Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant talk, we need to squash that once and for all now, okay? That man, in 2 years' time, has made it to an NFC championship game and a Super Bowl. No other Mr. Irrelevant has ever done that, will ever do that.
That's one that I remember.
49ers did a quality job of picking in round 7, and that their coach, Shanahan, is excellent at building up quarterbacks, okay? Give him his respect for that. And also, got to give it up to Debo. That brother was hurt. We all know it. He played hurt, but he played. And he played like a grown-ass man. And CD Deuce, this was your mouth at the beginning of the game. This should be your mouth now, okay? If you go to Debo's Twitter page, I believe he put something up to the effect that, okay, somebody go check on Little Bruh. To the victors go the spoils, dog. So shout out to Joseph Richardson and Shannon Staubach, my family and my peoples on the page. That was y'all team. Bruce Howard as well. Y'all team won. Congrats, man. That's all I can say. Hugh, you there?
Yeah, I definitely looked at that, and like I said, I wasn't happy, but I mean they won, and I mean it is what it is. CD, I think you need to keep your mouth shut now, man. I still feel like you were a victim of a lot of luxury when you was over there with the Philadelphia Eagles. You had an opportunity this year to prove that you are who you said you were, and you didn't prove it. I think that we gave up some of the most chunk plays and the biggest passing yard plays ever. And at one point I was upset, but when he came back, I was like, "Will that stop?" And it didn't. It actually got worse when he came back. So yeah, man, you a whole vibe, and I think it wasn't really a good one. It wasn't a positive one for the Lions organization.
That
I'd be
brother don't fit
surprised
the
if they.
culture here, plain and simple.
No, I really don't think so,
All
man.
right, so
Like I said,
you go ahead, Hugh.
go ahead, E.
I know. I'm just saying, basically, those are the two games and how we saw them. Now, before we move on to our predictions for the bowl, definitely want to talk about some of the coaching moves that have been made because a lot of them was made during the week. Go ahead, Hugh. Talk about.
One thing that I saw just recently, E, was the Pittsburgh Steelers hired Arthur Smith as their offensive coordinator. So I didn't really think he was quite ready for a coach, even though he had all the pieces there. But it would be good for him to be an offensive coordinator. Hell, he's better than Matt Canada and anything they had over there. So I thought that was actually big to get him over there. What surprised me though was, which I couldn't complain, was Raheem Morris ended up getting that Atlanta Falcons job. I believe that job was Bill Belichick's, but what I believe was the power that he wanted to go along with it just didn't fit what they wanted to do. And that's what I believe that happened, because I've read something when he said that he was going to try to go for a coaching gig next season. He said that he wanted to get a job and he wanted to get a coach hiring position on his terms. And I believe when he went over there to Atlanta, it was a possibility that he wanted to be the GM and he wanted to be the coach, and they didn't want it to work that way. They wanted him to be a coach, and he wanted more power than what they were willing to give, and then they wanted to move on. It was good, too, because Raheem Morris was one of those guys that he was over there, and he was an interim coach and didn't really get a chance to be a head coach. And now he got the opportunity. And now we always doing it, E. So I have to do it now, and I have to say, how long is it gonna last? Because they always say that we do this, and we do it on the show all the time. I wasn't prepared to do it, but it's like, okay, we got to look at it now, E, and say, yeah, it's there, man. But how long of the rope that they will give us, because that's the thing, E, they always give us opportunities and they always give us jobs. But poor Adrian Griffin, we seen what happened when you give people opportunities. This dude didn't even last damn near 40 games. So we know how it is with us, man. If things don't go right when they want it to, they will possibly get rid of them. So Raheem Morris, and I'm talking about OJ Mayo and anyone else who got those coaching positions, they'll be hurried out of there in a heartbeat. So, yeah, let's just see how long this lasts, man, because then they'll make the excuse, we gave them a chance, but they just didn't hold their end of the bargain. But the funny thing is,
Are you seeing what I'm holding up here, Hugh?
yes, sir, absolutely. Guys like you get 3 years.
Card, but note the number on the card, Hugh. The
4.
number is 4. I feel that
The
any
head-
head coach in the National Football League should be allowed 4 years to implement his program unless you take a significant step back in that process. Okay? Adrian Griffin did not deserve to be fired. That's a whole nother sport, a whole nother story. But that being said, the reason why I say 4 years in particular is because I look at it from a college standpoint. If you are a head coach at a college team, the first thing you're going to do is assess who you have already, right? The next thing you are expected to do is to get your recruiting folks to add to what you have. So we always talk about in college how, okay, well, he did okay, but he ain't got his people in there yet. Once he starts to get his recruits in the building, then we'll see what we got. I think the same needs to be said in the NFL. You need to assess what you have. Then you should be allowed those 2-3 years to build up from what you have to what you have. Keep in mind, next year is Dan Campbell's 4th year in the league. Okay. They talked about firing him about a year and a half. Recall that? You recall that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure now that he's got to where he's got to, he's bought himself 3 extra years. Okay. I would say 3, unless of course the Lions mess around and go 3-13 next year. That's a whole nother story. We know what they got in Atlanta. All right. We know what division they got in the South. Whole division sucked. Okay. Tampa Bay won. They still on a suckier end of your NFL teams. That brother needs to be allowed 4 years to handle biz to get to wherever they're going to get to with it. That being said, I held up 4, but that card really should have said 2. It seemed like whenever you start to look like us and get that coaching job, that's what you get. You get 2 years at the Met. If you ain't above 500 in them 2 years, you gotta go. So how many years do I think he gonna get? Them 2 years.
Just seeing some interesting news too. The Texans going to keep their nucleus together. They just signed offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick to a new contract, so he's staying with the Houston Texans, which is awesome because we seen what he did with the rookie and CJ Stroud and how good that young team played, man. I'm definitely interested in seeing what they're going to do now, him being their coach, and then you're going to have CJ Stroud for, another year. And then plus you still have DeMeco Ryans and you have that whole coaching nucleus together. Did you hear this, E? And I think that this would be good if they do sign this man. The Rams are interviewing Brandon Staley for their defensive coordinator job.
Nope. Don't like it. Don't like it. 2 reasons. 1, remember, he was coaching Chargers. His thing was defense. How good was the Chargers defense these last couple years? And they actually have better pieces on that Charger defense than they do on their Rams defense. If you take out Aaron Donald.
I think a lot of injuries.
Second of all, I'm looking at the coach on that team, the head coach. McVay, Stanley, especially after you coming off being a head coach, I see some clashing. I don't like the mix. I don't think it's a good dude. I don't. Going back to what you were saying about the Houston thing, good for Houston. I definitely like that they're keeping all their pieces intact. It looks like the Lions are going to do that as well. But now we got to start to wonder, though, Hugh. The main candidates for that Washington job now have committed to going back to their old teams. They didn't go after Belichick. What the hell's going on with them Commanders, man? What they doing?
They still have a person who's in the cusp right now. Yeah, I've told you that Ben Johnson is going back to the Lions, but that don't mean that Aaron Glenn to go back. Would I be happy if he don't go back? Maybe. They're saying right now that they're still headed.
If Johnson didn't get that job, I can't see Aaron Glenn wanting that job.
They said he's still that their Commanders Brads is coming to Detroit to interview him right now as we speak.
Interesting. I don't think they're gonna go with him. I don't.
I think that there's other coaches, experienced coaches, that they should actually keep an eye out on, like a Mike Vrabel, or if Belichick was still interested.
That's the one that perplexes me, Hugh. Why that man don't have a job at this point, I don't understand at all. It seemed like that was the go-to guy.
Yeah, that was definitely surprising to me. And those two jobs, I don't really feel like people feel like that are interesting. The actual Panthers and the Commanders job, man. A lot of people are folding, and I still feel like now that when they said that Belichick might not try to come back for another job to the 2025 season, like you said, I don't think he's interested in that Commanders or either that Panthers job. So that's why I believe
the real problem that he had with Atlanta was not so much the GM thing. I think he actually was. I took him at his word. I think he really didn't want to be GM. He just wanted to have say-so over who was the GM or what the GM decided in terms of his staff. I think that's what caught him up. He wanted that same staff. He wanted to bring back Patricia and Daniels and all of those guys. And in this day and age of the NFL, that didn't work. It didn't work.
Yeah, it wasn't no way that he was going to keep that staff, Matt Patricia for one. And I just don't know. A lot of people had bad vibes about Josh McDaniels too. So I think that would have been a situation. And that makes sense. If he was trying to get those jobs for those guys, man, that wasn't going to happen.
You got to be willing to keep up with the times. And I don't see Belichick having any desire to change. I think that's why we at this point no longer have Saban in Alabama, because he was not willing to change with the times anymore. That's why he called it quits.
Funny too, because like we said, a lot of guys from Washington, which I didn't think they were gonna do at first. I thought they was gonna look at Kalen DeBoer like he was basically a sellout, but a lot of them guys was buying the Kool-Aid. Even a couple of them transferred and came over there with him. So yeah, that was a surprise, man. But he didn't keep all the recruits, but he kept a lot of recruits, and other people came to Alabama because he was there. So yeah, man, right. It's like, what is he doing different that Saban wasn't doing, And I think that was a smart thing too, to go with a guy slightly younger than Saban, who may be into the NIL deals and who can probably give you that plug and play guy, So yeah, it's like when it comes to those decisions and making those type of decisions, which your Dabo Sweeney is, and some of those guys is not playing that when it comes to NIL deals, man. You just got to move with the times, and if you don't, the time will pass you by.
Right. Speaking of which, I know, because we talked about it, you definitely are liking the decision that the Michigan Wolverines made by hiring the coach Moore. What's your thoughts on that one, Hugh?
Definitely made sense to me due to the fact that
All right, looks like you has froze up for a minute there, y'all. Basically, we are talking about the Michigan hire of Shamar Moore and what effect we think we'll have on that. I definitely like that they did not mess around. They pretty much put it out there the minute Harbaugh signed for the Chargers that that was their leading candidate. In my mind, it was their only candidate. It was the person that they had to have. He has the experience. He basically trained for the job, plain and simple. So because of that, I do believe he was the best person to hire at this time. He's young, he's hungry, he is extremely familiar with the kids, obviously, from being there as the offensive coordinator all those years. I definitely think that it is a good hire at a time where they could not afford to take too long because I think they would have lost a lot of people to the transfer portal, or a couple more people would have decided to go ahead and try the NFL a little early because of what happened. Remember, there's a big transitional period happening next year in college football as we have the Pac 12 basically breaking off into several pieces and then the ACC expanding and all of that. So it's definitely going to be a different type of NCAA moving forward. And you guys to be prepared to contend with it along with the NIL and the transfer portal and everything else. You most definitely have to be mindful that that's where we are and that's where it's headed. So you definitely need somebody that's familiar with your program and familiar with the new rules and regulations, not to mention the fact that anybody that Michigan would have hired would have also had that thing over their head saying that, okay, what are we gonna do in the event that we get hit with the darn penalties and whatnot? Is that person going to be able to keep the program in check and make sure that everybody doesn't abandon ship and whatnot? I think Shamar Moore is capable of holding everything in place when it comes to that. For whatever reason, Hugh did not come back. We're gonna give it a couple minutes, but in the meanwhile, we are looking to give us the Super Bowl predictions. Next week, we're gonna take the week off. Keep in mind, it's gonna be 2 weeks before the Super Bowl this year. So next week we're just gonna go ahead, chill, actually work on some productions for once, that type of stuff. So Big Buck Sports Report and the other shows in Nighthawk Network. After this week, we'll take a week off to kind of chill and work on other projects. But we will be back the following week to talk about what we need to talk about. In the meanwhile, like I said, we're still waiting to see if Hugh is going to pop back up. I myself will give you my prediction for the Super Bowl. Of course, we got the Kansas City Chiefs. We got the San Francisco 49ers. Looking at those two squads, I myself have to go with the team that's been there, the team with the more experience in this matter, the team with the best weapons of the two teams, where we would definitely talk about weapons, particularly on offense. That team, in my mind, is the Kansas City Chiefs. Of course, they have been there before. They have been to four now, the last five Super Bowls. They have won two. They have lost one. I think they have the ingredients necessary to win again. Should not come as a surprise because if you go back to the opening show of the season on the Google Football Perspective, I picked them and the Eagles to go on through. And in the end, that was that. All right, we back, y'all. Had some technical difficulties. Look like we got them worked out. We were doing our prediction. I was basically telling you guys my prediction. I am predicting the Kansas City Chiefs to win the Super Bowl, much as I did when we did our predictions at the beginning of the season. I picked it to be the rematch between them and the Eagles. Obviously, the Eagles didn't handle their proper business, but the Chiefs did. And when all was said and done, I felt like Kansas City will repeat. And I have no reason, based on what I've seen, to not think that it's possible now. Remember, we're looking at the two teams. We're looking at the San Francisco 49ers, who almost lost to Green Bay, who almost lost to the Lions. And then we're looking at the Kansas City Chiefs, who basically kind of had a little bit of trouble with the Bills, but worked it out and did pretty well against the best team in football this season, at least the regular season, the Baltimore Ravens. Remember how the Ravens mollywopped the 49ers. I'm not expecting Kansas City to do that by any means, but I think they have a good enough defense to cause Purdy problems. And because of that, I think that they will disrupt him just enough to where he will make mistakes and they will capitalize on mistakes with Mahomes and crew. And as a result, I feel like they will win the Super Bowl. I'm going to go Kansas City 28 and San Francisco 20. What you got, Hugh?
Before I jump into that, when I say they locking down this young Houston Texans team, check this out. Not only did they sign Bobby Slowick back, but the quarterback coach as well. The Texans gave Jerron Johnson the contract extension in a raise. So both of those guys, for what they did, not only got contract extensions, they got raises to stay on the team. And yeah, that's huge for them, man. That was a big win for them moving forward. But yeah, man. I feel like right now, with my prediction, I'm gonna stay true to the game. I definitely feel like betting against Patrick Mahomes is a bad gamble, but it's a gamble I must take again, due to the fact that I said that San Francisco was going to go to the Super Bowl and win it. Do I think they go win? It's a possibility not. I still feel like my first prediction, 31-28, might be the result. Kansas City. But just for giggles, man, and to make this interested, man, I'm going to definitely go with the San Francisco 49ers, and I think that the score will be 34 to 31 at this point, and I'm going to go with San Francisco winning by 3. But trust me, I'm the last person who will lose sleep if San Francisco loses. But I just want to stay true to my game and what I said the regular season. I think I'm going to be celebrating more if Kansas City win for sure. But since I went with San Francisco, I'm going to stick with my guns on this one.
All right. What's the one thing you feel like is going to have San Francisco get over the top?
That's a good question. I really don't know, because on my show, I picked the better quarterback we know is Patrick Mahomes. I feel like the front for San Francisco was an advantage, but then the back end of the defense is an advantage for, the Chiefs as well. I feel like the Chiefs got a lot more going into it. Only thing I really look at is that front. I believe that they'll put pressure on Patrick Mahomes. But we thought that with the Ravens too, and he made a fool out of them. So, yeah, I still feel like they have the best front in the game. So that's their X factor to me, that if they can possibly pull this victory out.
All right. Now, there's a couple rumors being floated out there in regards to the Chiefs. Rumor one is that basically if Andy Reid wins the Super Bowl, he going to go ahead and shut it down and call it a career. You think you're doing that? You think you should do that?
He wouldn't have nothing to lose, man. Or I won't say if he did, man, he should come back. I definitely feel like he will come back, and be surprised if he do hang it up. But yeah, man, with this team and how great they've been going, man, I at least try to give it another shot, because that's why when a lot of people was like, man, why Brady come back? Because he won the Super Bowl. He was one game away from winning the Super Bowl, and he wanted to try to see what they had and see if they can run it back. And I feel like if they win another Super Bowl, then, people going to be thinking about that three-peat. So, yeah, I think if they win, he will stay. But if they lose, he possibly might consider, moving on.
I say that he basically going to hang on another couple years regardless of the result, whether they win or they lose, because I think that's how much of a window they still would have after this year. I still see them having 2 or 3 more years. Basically, I think their window is open as long as Travis Kelce chooses to play. Now, of course, the other rumor I will address on my other show, because it's more of a celebrity type scenario. But the second thing that's being talked about is that Super Bowl being in Vegas, being there with well, you know what? I don't even want to go to that. I'm gonna skip all that. My other question instead will be this: if Brock Purdy wins the Super Bowl, has he earned a contract extension? How much of one? What are we paying him?
I think that he rightfully would, but it depends too. I would give him like a 4-year deal, maybe like $100 million. I wouldn't give him nothing too spectacular, just something that'd move him along. And I would have like something with like an option in it. It'd have to be an option in there, like a 2, 3 year option. Most of the actual contracts in the NFL is 2 years for sure before it's void. But I would definitely give him a decent guaranteed amount of money. But yeah, I would definitely
All
keep
right,
him
so
around a
so,
2, 3 year
so
deal.
you're saying 4 years, 100 million, so basically 25 million a season.
Hmm.
With all due respect, you know that's not gonna work, bro. You know, basic quarterback
He
eight
gonna want,
nowadays get at least a hot 40.
yep, he gonna want more.
I feel like they should at least pay him what they paid that clown in New York, Daniel Jones. He should at least get 40. Now,
I
granted,
wouldn't
I
be.
probably would set him up to have a lot of incentives in his contract. So, if you want to make bigger money, then you need to cross these thresholds. And I probably would guarantee the majority of his contract. So if we paying him 160 for 4 years, I probably would guarantee 100 of that, and then kind of backload that thing so that you can afford to add some pieces.
Get more people.
Kind of set it up similar to how Mahomes' contract is set up. But yeah, in this day and age of NFL, honestly, I would not sign a contract for any player longer than 4 years, quarterback or not, unless you
What's
Patrick
crazy?
Mahomes.
What's crazy too, man, is what are they going to do after this year too, as far as the Kansas City Chiefs? Because I believe that they will lose Chris Jones at the end of this year.
I don't think that's going to be as big a deal as we thought it was going to be. I think they could replace him with somebody a little cheaper. I do believe that as time goes on, other people will become available in the next year or two that might not be Chris Jones quality per se, but a close enough facsimile to fit into the rest of the defense. Because in the end, how much of a factor has Chris Jones been this year on defense? Let's be honest.
It's been a
It's been
pretty
more
big
about
factor
the secondary.
as when it comes to putting pressure on quarterbacks, especially at the time of playoffs. He's been a huge factor in these last couple games. But all in all, though, I still feel like with them and their drafting that they could basically still find someone in the draft. I believe that it's still manageable. And with
I,
Patrick Mahomes' contract, that's the risk you're gonna have to take now.
Mhm. I think in the end, it's free agency that they'll probably be looking toward because remember, they got the formula, they got the guy. And if you're trying to win a ring at this point, you're gonna go where the guy is.
People gonna want to play with him before they retire or get an opportunity to play with him, until they retire. So yeah, it'll definitely
Absolutely.
be more saying too, because who wouldn't want to play with Patrick Mahomes? If I made my bag already and made enough money, and I feel like, man, I feel like I may have another 2 years in me. Let me go ahead and let me, just take a veteran minimum and go over there and try to win me one. I would definitely do that myself.
Absolutely. That's the way I would look at it. So okay, y'all, we've made our choices. I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs. He's going with the 49ers. Be sure to let us know in the comments who you guys are going with. We'd love to hear that. Before we head on out, as always, we got to let Hugh tell you what's going on with him and what he got going. Please make sure you let them know about the whole real situation, by the way, Hugh.
Yeah, man. I had a situation, man. It seems like Facebook's being picky already. They didn't want us to put music on there, and they'll take you off from that. I've been having issues with the music on some of mine, which the music wasn't even coming from them. It was coming from another source. But I've been having like a lot of stuff going on with them saying that copyright infringe, and they feel like some of the rights of the stuff that I was taking or putting on my platform was a red flag. And NBA and other couple of people made comments about it respectively, and I said, well, you know what, I'm not going to deal with any reels anymore, because the reels seem like they've been the reason why my old page went down. And I feel like right now, if you like the Sports Guru to you like it because of the information and the late breaking news and stuff I have. That was just a little extra to put the reels on there, just to lure you in so you can watch and start paying attention to what I was putting on the page. I might lose some people. I really wouldn't care now. I feel like now I have enough people who I have right now on Instagram and TikTok with my reels that I won't miss you. But at the same time, I just wanted to respectfully tell you that's the reason why I wasn't going to put up reels. And I even told some of the people who were following me on the Sports Guru to you, that's the reason why now, if they want to catch me, they can go on my Instagram page and they can go on my TikTok page as well, which my Instagram page is Hoovy, WHOOVI, and my TikTok page is Hugh.Lee6.
So there you have with that. Like I said, keep in mind, we are still in the process of expanding the network. We're expanding to other social media platforms or what have you. A lot of it has to do with the production of the network. And since production of the network, for the most part, is me, myself, and I have to kind of get in a better place to where I have more time to work on that part of the shows to where we can get more of the content to you the way that we would like to get it to you. So I got to take part of the blame in that also. We definitely are going to make some adjustments and changes as we go through the course of the year and the years to come. You know, I talk about the Nighthawk Network radio station that I would like to set up, and we'll get into that as we get closer to the time to make that happen. But yeah, we working with y'all, and we appreciate all of those who have stuck it out with us. Basically, if you're just there for the reels and you're gonna miss them, it is what it is. But if you are here for the content, for what we talk about, if you like how we discuss what we discuss in terms of the sports, then I know you guys will stick with us, and we appreciate you guys for doing just that. Absolutely. So again, as a programming note, we will not be here next week with either the Big Buck Sports Report or the Guru's football session. We will be back the following week of Super Bowl to discuss what transpired and our thoughts on what teams should be looking to do in the offseason. So look forward to that discussion in a couple of weeks. In the meanwhile, Hugh, thank you for your hard and dedicated work throughout the entire season. And let me also at this time apologize for anything that has been said to you or basically had you feel some type of way in regards to the show. I know sometimes we get to clowning and what have you, but when all is said and done, you my brother, man. I love you, Dad. So let me publicly make that apology to you right here and right now.
Definitely appreciate that. Yeah, man. Just something happened too just recently, E, that I was kind of looking at. Kind of I don't know how much of a shocker it is, but it kind of shocked me seeing this right now. It's been a lot of good stuff going on in MLB as of I've been seeing and I've been putting down. Did you know that were you even aware of the Angelo family reportedly about to sell the Baltimore Orioles?
Now that is a surprise. Keep in mind, it's a little bonus coverage for y'all this evening. No, I was not aware that they were even up for sale for that matter. We know they talked about selling the Angels and what have you, but that's the only baseball team that I know of that was up for sale that was discussed. So I'm curious what the going rate is now for a baseball team in MLB. People have been paying big money for these NFL teams lately.
Mm-hmm.
But considering Baltimore is a young team full of people on the come up, I'm curious to see not only who buys the team, but what type of price is going to fetch in the open market.
They say a private party equity billionaire, David Rubenstein, of a Carlyle Group. And the club is reportedly valued at $1.725 billion.
All right. I imagine you probably consider Baltimore a little bit better than your average baseball team. So I guess for your better than average baseball team, you're looking at about a hot $2 billion. Not bad. Not bad. Hopefully they will invest in the team. Hopefully they will not move the team because I know Baltimore would hate to lose. And I would hate for Baltimore to lose the Orioles. I know it's been talk of possibly moving Washington somewhere else in that area, but out of DC. I hope that doesn't happen either. But we'll see how it all plays out for them. Again, I think the Orioles are setting up to have a pretty good season. Remember, y'all, just a couple weeks away from spring training and opening camp and all of that. So before you know it, we'll be talking baseball again.
And there's some good stuff that's about to happen too, man. It's been a few players that went to huge teams like, man, the Marcus Stroman to New York. I was excited.
All right,
Them
Hugh.
getting
All right, Hugh. Hold on, brother. Hold on. Just the football session. Save the baseball for baseball time. All right, as you see, the guru is busy doing what he always does, getting it in. Make sure you got the newest information as soon as possible. Please make sure that you go check out his site, Sports
okay.
Guru to You, as well as what he pointed out earlier with the Hoovy site on IG and his TikTok that is starting to come into its own. Check him out on all those platforms. We would appreciate that. And don't forget to check out his show, The Guru's Perspective, on Spotify every Tuesday afternoon, where he breaks down all the sports for you. We appreciate your continued understandings and following of our platforms. Thank you very much. That being said, y'all, we're going to head on out. Throw the fingers up, Hugh. Till next time, my peoples.
Yeah.